Well, we come here today to give acknowledgement and celebrate the accomplishments of 65 years
of dedicated service, advocating for quality of life for seniors. There is no finer example in our field of the work you have done for 65 years. Thank you.
I'll never forget one Saturday morning in April of 1988, I was out in my backyard doing some yard work. And my daughter stepped out on our back deck and she says, "Dad, you have a phone call." And so I dropped what I was doing and stepped inside, and the voice on the other end of the line identified himself as Clark Law. And he says, "Larry," he says, "have you filled that CEO position yet at AOPHA?" And I said, "Clark, we almost have. The committee is meeting Monday to make a selection from among the final 3 candidates. By Monday night, we should have a candidate chosen." And he says, "Well, I would like to throw my hat in the ring." And my eyes immediately lit up. He couldn't see it, but I knew Clark, his stature, and the background that he'd had with state government, the connections that he had, the abilities that he had. And so I said, "I will certainly relay this directly to the committee." I did, and instantly his name went to the top of the heap, and he was selected.
AOPHA is not the same as it was, let's say, 15 years ago, because we weren't really connected with so many of the different and disparate members that we have in this association. And I think it has been to Clark's credit that through these years, he has been able to represent the housing interests, the hospital interests, the long-term care interests, the interests of the CCRCs, skilled nursing facilities. All of these disparate groups he's been able to bring together, and we've had a more cohesive alignment of our interests under his leadership.
AOPHA came through a very difficult time in the late 1980s. We were losing membership. Membership was discouraged. We had quite a few difficulties. And so immediately when Clark came on board, he began communicating with the membership and just simply brought us together to start. But even more than that, I think he has taken us up several steps up the ladder in our dealings with state government. Before, I guess I viewed AOPHA as the emphasis was on the social aspects, our annual meeting and the get-togethers and so forth that we had, and the camaraderie that we shared, which is good. But he brought us into the realm of professional relationships at broad and high, the State House, and those that are making the rules on behalf of our retirement communities and nursing homes, and he really took us to a new level.
AOPHA was without executive leadership, and they were in the search, and we experienced many of the kinds of issues that one faces at that time in terms of uncertainty, anxiety over the time that it took. But they found the right person when they found Clark, because we faced many challenges, and he met or exceeded all of our expectations.
I can remember the early years of my service on the board when Clark would come in and he would be so charged up about public policy. And we would go down through a new legislative proposal that was being considered by the General Assembly. And Clark would go down this proposed act line by line. And I often wondered, he probably thinks that we're just as excited about this statute as he is. And we finally got him off of that. We got him to the point where he would just perhaps give us a concise report. But I want to tell you that that was his style. He became completely enmeshed in whatever legislative action was to take place, and he loved it. He loved the fray of going into legislative hearings, and he went into it with the perspective that you're not going to win everything that you want, but we're going to win the best that we can. And that was his style. This last year, for instance, we had a big issue over Medicaid reimbursement. And Clark led us through that fight in the General Assembly. And because of his efforts, we were able to preserve the Medicaid system of reimbursement in this state. And Clark would come into the board and he would say, "We won." And he would have that twinkle in his eye.
One of the rites of passage at AOPHA involves the spring ASA meeting in Washington, D.C., where we all traipse over for some educational credit, but the primary focus is to go visit the congressman on Capitol Hill. So Clark would try to shepherd this herd of cats and point us in the right direction and to get us oriented to the issues we should discuss. And it was always fun to watch him put people together. And he'd send us off to deliver the message, and you could just see him holding his breath on whether we could even find Capitol Hill, let alone convey the message. But then he would gather the intelligence of our visits and use that again to AOPHA and also its benefit. But he's a master politician.
Crafty, compassionate, shrewd, the grizzly bear of advocacy, the godfather of associations, the king and queen maker in local politics, tenacious, persistent, ethical, high integrity, Clark Law.
A major problem in our field, and I won't bore you with the details, is the fact that our members get sued unjustly, and it's hard for them to get liability insurance. Clark shows up at a state executive meeting one day. He's a pillar member of that group. And after all of the complaining about it that we did for a couple of hours, Clark just whips out this piece of paper and says, "Well, here's the piece of legislation in Ohio that's going to solve this problem." And he passed it out. And our legal eagles and policy wonks and others began to look at this thing, and somebody said, "This will never get passed. Nobody will ever go for this. The consumer groups won't like it. The Republicans will be against it for this reason. The Democrats will be against it for that reason." It passed through both houses in Ohio, signed by the governor. Most people don't realize a piece of legislation was passed a number of years ago that would make it difficult for residents of our home after they went to the hospital to come back to their own facility. Clark was able to get Congress to pass a law that makes it easy for people to come back to their own home. From now on, when some major piece of legislation comes up that we think will solve a problem, it'll be affectionately known, that's a Clark law.
You know, we can talk about adjectives of kind of a warm, caring, very special person underneath the gruff, unpolished veneer. But, you know, this guy got things done. I mean, let's not minimize how bright he was, and how when you got to know him and got up close to him, you realize this guy was very bright, very thorough, and very successful. You know, he is responsible not only for a lot of the successes of our state association, but ASA's relied on him. Clark would read through those legislative pieces in fine detail and thoroughness that I'm willing to bet there's not one more person out there that would give that kind of attention to it, and picked up on things that led to national initiatives like Return to Home. So, you know, yes, he was a warm, wonderful, caring person, but you know what? He also was good at what he did.
The qualities that Clark has are innumerable. His tenacity, his honesty, his integrity, all of these things that are so important, because in association work, there are so many of us out there that are looking at his performance every day, every week, every month. And he has to relate to each one of us and to the interests and concerns that we have. But over and above all of that, Clark's sense of commitment has been genuine because he also represents the interest of our residents. And let me tell you, when that becomes your first priority, everything else kind of falls in place.
He has a heart, and you've heard this, you know, heart of gold. Clark not only is loyal, but he's true blue. So in the dedication and passion that he has for his work is also a real sense of people. Clark has looked out for the little guy. He worries about the smallest member. He has an astute sense of not stepping on toes and being respectful and sensitive to people's needs.
Circumstances were such that I was in the Columbus area the day after Clark entered the hospital the first time. And I went to see him because the reports were not good. And I expected when I got to his room that perhaps Patty would be there, but that Clark would probably not be awake. When I got there, though, he was quite alert, carrying and conversing in his regular booming voice. But the first thing he did was he turned to me and he looked up from his hospital bed, got a big grin on his face and said, "It's not lung cancer," because all of us in the healthcare field had been after Clark for as long as we had known him to quit smoking. So he wanted to make the point that it wasn't lung cancer. So that's, I think, part of his wit, part of his charm in terms of able to divert from the seriousness of the issue at hand to bring some levity to the issue.
The staff has a little presentation they would like to do, so while they are coming up, I've been asked to read something from the Detroit Tigers. Dear Clark, it has been brought to my attention that you are the #1 Detroit Tiger fan in Columbus, Ohio. The Detroit Tiger organization appreciates your loyal support. It has also been brought to my attention that you will be receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award for your many years of service to your community and industry. On behalf of the Detroit Tigers, I would like to congratulate you and present you with an official Detroit Tiger home jersey, making you an honorary member of the Detroit Tigers. Sincerely, Cecilia Bobrovsky.
One of the ways that Clark has made AOPHA different is the sense of family, whether it's his relationship with the staff or his relationship with members and the leaders of member organizations. We considered him more than an employee, if you will, that he was a family member, a friend, a brother.
He is a father figure. He is very paternalistic. He is very protective. He loves his staff. It isn't just that they're my workers. He cares for them. He looks out for them. He would have a hard time doing a tough call because, you know, he gets into the personal feelings of things. Clark is incredibly generous. You know, he lives humbly. I mean, he's not a showy guy. He appreciates fine things. I mean, I was very touched to be at his home about a month ago, and he has beautiful antiques. But, you know, not a showy guy. Just, these are the things that are important to me. This is what I like. Matter of fact. And, you know, that sort of says a lot. I think he'd give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. And he might be the one that would notice that you might need it before you'd have to speak up.
He loved his wife, Patty. You could tell that when they were at association meetings together. And they always talked about the kids. One of the last conversations that I had with Clark is he talked, I think between he and Patty, they have 11 grandchildren, I think under the age of 7. But he was talking about how the kids had learned to work grandpa. And I think what he was really saying is they were already learning how to be lobbyists and how to achieve the goals that they wanted to achieve. So that seemed to be to be the classic Clark. I'm proud of the grandkids for appearing to carry on the tradition of being politically astute and understanding how to work the grandfather in the crowd.
I'm more than a little overcome, embarrassed on both, because as you all know, this work in this field can be extremely gratifying. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I'm lucky because about 5 years ago, a woman entered my life who has made all the difference in the world. And that's Patty, of course. My daughters, I tell you, how they do it, I don't know. They made it here. One of them has only 4 under the age of 7. The other one only has 5, ages 7 and under. We have officially gotten over the hurdle, and we have now a son that is with can't come up with 1. So we're moving up there. For a total of 12. I want to also can't express enough my thanks to my family.
Kind of an appreciation of the playfulness and kind of joy Clark and Patty have found in a second marriage and successfully blending families. And, you know, sort of living out a life that has its ups and downs and its funny moments, and they have readily shared those moments. And we've seen a side of Clark we didn't see before he married Patty. You know, this, again, playful and sense of humor and a lighter side. They were very lucky to find each other. And, you know, working through this illness showed you the support that they're giving each other is pretty impressive.
We have had such a rich and close relationship, friendship, with Clark and Patty, and we will cherish the great memories that we have shared, the great times that we have had. All of these will live with us forever.
Oh, well, Patty and Clark have been really good friends, and we would get together over the holidays. And the most fun with Patty and Clark is watching how they interact with each other. And I'm sure the family doesn't need any hints on the fireworks and the fun that can flow from that interchange. But it was always amusing, interesting, high entertainment, high drama. Patty's very dramatic, and Clark just obviously adored her. And would just look at her with that twinkle in his eye and just never quite know what she was going to say next, and that was great. It kept him alive, it kept him going. We shared in all that energy, and you know, it's been said that everybody is replaceable, but I think with this one, this is the exception.
Thank you very, very much for giving us this fine, fine man these past 12, 13 years. I know that he's been away from home a lot, as he's been involved with meetings and duties with the association. You all have been so generous to share this wonderful man with us. Thank you very, very much.
I also want to say to Clark and his family, you know, we owe you for all you've given to us, and we'll be there for your family. That AOPHA members reach out to us. That, you know, we owe it to Clark and to his legacy and to what we're all about, to remember how important it is that the family is still going to be here and they are going to look to us.
This is a great occasion because you give us a great gift of making us express our great love and admiration for you now, this moment in time, showing up from a hospital the morning after, as most of you would not know, a surgical procedure.
The determination and courage he is showing right now to be here at this conference, to kind of live out his life and deal with his disease in kind of a matter-of-fact way, and, you know, minimizing it, but, you know, still showing what's important. I mean, it's tough. We're losing one person. And this is something I would want to say to grandchildren and family, that in the grief of losing someone you love, you know, it's a person, but when you stop and think of the courage it takes for that person, because they potentially are losing grandchildren, children, spouse, profession, friends, acquaintances, it's huge. And some people retreat, and it's a very private time, you know, for him to generously just tough it up and show up and be able to be vulnerable and let people see him frail and let people be able to thank him and show them an appreciation and love. That is wonderful. I mean, we go through this every day in our facilities, you know, sort of wanting to have closure and understanding that illness and death can be a part of life. And but then when it comes home, sometimes we just can't execute, you know, we can't pull it off. And I think it's again been very remarkable.
We love and admire you, Clark Law. You have always made us face tough challenges for noble purposes. Even today, we thank you in behalf of AOPHA. Following your example, may we ever face tough issues in our field in creative and honorable ways. Clark, we love and admire you. Thank you.